Are you dealing with someone who's struggling with an opiate addiction? Perhaps they're addicted to pain medication. Perhaps they're taking heroin. Perhaps you might be struggling with an opiate addiction and you're wondering, how do you treat opiate addiction? What is the process? What are the steps that you need to take in order to break free from an addiction to opiates? Well, today I'm going to give you the 3 stages of treatment for opiate addiction, break it down, explain it to you. So stay with us so that you can get a deeper understanding of the process of treating opiate addiction. Before we go into the 3 stages or the 3 steps of treatment, we first want to understand, what does it mean to withdraw from opiates? Opiates are unique in a sense that it's not just a psychological addiction that you're dealing with. When I say psychological, a person can quit using cocaine and they will have no physical craving for the cocaine. The craving that they would be dealing with is the psychological craving. But there's other drugs that you take that when you stop it, your body literally goes through a physical withdrawal. And so we're going to look at, what does it look like when a person goes through physical withdrawal from an opiate such as lortab, oxycontin, or maybe an illegal drug like heroin, could be a prescription fentanyl. All those are different variations of the same type of drug called opiates. So if someone is addicted to opiates and they stop using, within 8 to 24 hours from the last use, their body will start going into what we call physical withdrawal. Within 8 to 24 hours, the person will start experiencing literally in their body characteristics of physical withdrawal. And you might ask, well, what are the withdrawal symptoms? What do they look like? Well, withdrawal symptoms include flu-like symptoms, body aches, fever, feeling real cold, feeling very hot, sweating, insomnia, not wanting to get out, just a general sense of blasé that goes just like if you had the flu. Also characteristics such as diarrhea, once they stop using, the withdrawal symptoms start kicking in, sweating profusely. Oftentimes they'll begin to yawn a lot. They'll complain of body aches or bone aches, that their bones are literally hurting. These are all withdrawal symptoms from opiates. There's usually a sense of restlessness in the muscles or the legs. Oftentimes they struggle with insomnia, trying to sleep, can't fall asleep, having difficulty just settling down. Usually become very irritable. Little things that normally are not a big deal become very irritating. Oftentimes they'll experience nausea, maybe even vomiting. And the other aspect of the physical withdrawal of opiates, which is really important to understand, is that they literally have physically a strong drug craving for more of the drug. That's what makes treating opiates so challenging, is that you have to deal with this, not only those uncomfortable symptoms, but also this physical craving for needing more of the drugs. The third point about withdrawal from opiates is that withdrawal symptoms are usually acute for 4 to 7 days once you go into withdrawal, and last up to 20 days. Usually after 4 to 7 days, you still have all of these symptoms, but they're less acute. But in those 4 to 7 days, it's really intense. So a person that's getting off of opiates, you can imagine once they start going into withdrawal, those first 4 to 7 days are very, very vulnerable because they're feeling all these physical symptoms. They have a huge craving physically for the drug, and they're dealing with it chronically up to 20 days. And so in order to treat opiate addiction, you need to make sure you have the proper support around that person for those first 4 to 7 days, up to 20 days, and making sure they have the support and the care that they need so they can go through this horrible withdrawal symptoms. So what is stage 1 of treatment? Well, we call it detox. Detox is literally when the person goes through those withdrawal symptoms. As I said, it could be once they're in withdrawal from the lasts from 4 to 7 days acutely, all the way up to 20 days. It's often advised that if they're going to quit using opiates is to get under the care of a doctor, an addictionologist, that they will help you walk through these symptoms. They often will give you medications to decrease the intensity of those symptoms. Another prevailing treatment, which is a bit controversial, is to treat it with an opiate receptor substitute, which simply means that when you stop using opiates, your opiate receptors become starved, and that's what causes the withdrawal symptoms. But there's certain medications that will keep your opiate receptors from going into starvation, which would keep you from going into withdrawal. And those medications are things like methadone, Suboxone. There's some other out on the market today. But those are medications that you quit using opiates, you transition to that, you don't have to go through withdrawal symptoms, and you maintain taking those medications on a daily basis. It helps you avoid, or if you're really wanting to get off of everything, it helps you delay detox for a period of time. But number 3, as I said, withdrawal symptoms are from 4 to 20 days. Therefore, in that period of time, in stage 1, which we call detox, much support is needed for the drug cravings and also dealing with the painful physical symptoms of detox. Stage 2 treatment is intensive psychological treatment. And that can be done inpatient, which if you have the resources to do that, I always advise that, because you get 24/7 care. Typically inpatient, you would stay there for 28 days or more. You have 24/7 care. You're getting the proper medical support. You're getting the emotional and psychological support by the staff. You're in a safe place. You're in a container, and you're basically getting it on all different levels in terms of treatment. Outpatient treatment is another option that typically looks like 3 hours in the evening, maybe 3 or 4 times a week, and you would be treated by a medical professional, and also would have therapists or counselors running groups, giving you education, giving you support, helping you develop a new support network. That's another option. The third option is counseling, which my wife and I have been doing counseling for a long time and dealing with addiction. You know, it's limited in what we could do for you. If you imagine 24/7 compared to 9 to 12 hours a week of outpatient, to where you would probably see us 1 hour a week, maybe twice, and that the level of care is just so much less. But that's another option for intensive psychological treatment in stage 2. Stage 2, you're not only dealing with the physical craving and the detox, which hopefully that's being dealt with, but you transition into dealing with the psychological addiction, the thoughts, the processes that, the minimizations, the rationalizations, all the things that go with an addiction that impact your psychological and emotional life, dealing with emotions, learning to deal with them in a healthier way as opposed to the drug. That this part of treatment, stage 2, the intensive psychological, is helping you deal with the psychological addiction. And the mistake that's sometimes made is that people will get off of the opiate, they'll go through the physical withdrawal, they'll deal with the physical addiction, but they don't do anything to deal with the psychological addiction. And before long, they're relapsing because their mind is the same that it was before they got off the drug. The third important aspect of stage 2 treatment, intensive psychological, is developing a support network. Birds of a feather flock together, right? That you will start to become like the 5 people that you hang around with most. If what you want is to get off the opiates and learn to live a different lifestyle, you need to interact and develop relationships with people who have done that can teach you, that can help you, that can support you to develop the new lifestyle. So stage 2 treatment is intensive psychological. Now, the stage 3 of treatment is intensive support and education. So you continue to need to have education about what is addiction, what is the uniqueness of opiate addiction, but also to have intensive support. The first year is very important. Statistics show that if you can get 1 year of clean time from a drug, develop a whole different lifestyle, your chances of permanent clean time or sobriety go up significantly. If you have multiple relapses in the first year, then your chances of permanent sobriety go down significantly. So what can that look like? Well, that could look like extended care, which is called nowadays, that could be a halfway house where you're living with other people in recovery that are supporting you, that are on the same journey. It could be attending an outpatient aftercare program 1 time a week and getting continual support. The stage 3 treatment, which is intensive support, could be regularly attending support group meetings. The 12-step meetings are excellent for that. There's a church version of that called Celebrate Recovery. You need to get involved with a new peer group in order to maintain long-term clean time of sobriety. And that's a very important part of this stage 3 or intensive support and education. The third thing is professional counseling. You can see a counselor like myself, someone else that can help continue the education, to give you your support, and to help you on your journey of getting 1 year's clean time. So those are the 3 stages of how to treat opiate addiction. And I'd like to recommend to you now a wonderful resource if you're interested in understanding and going a little deeper than I have time to go into in the process and the treatment of opiate addiction, is this book, Painkillers, Heroin, and the Road to Sanity by Joanna Gamil. It's really a good read on the process of recovery from opiates. I have a link here in the description below that would be a wonderful resource if you'd like to go in deeper and to understand this process at a deeper level. You know, when you're dealing with an addict or someone that you love that's struggling with an opiate addiction, oftentimes they're trying to balance out the need for the drug and also their relationship with you. And when that need gets so high for the drug, oftentimes they'll get into unfortunate behaviors of manipulation, of control, some very unhealthy dynamics in the relationship with you. And so the challenge for you is to learn how to continue to love that person, but to also set up appropriate boundaries. So we want to help you with that, how to set up boundaries with an addict. And we have a video that my wife and I did on that subject, and I have it on the screen right now. I'd encourage you to click that, and we'll see you on the next video.